Hello and welcome to my second sketchbook tour. This sketchbook tour is going to be a little bit different from my last one. The last sketchbook definitely had a theme and that was a very old sketchbook. This sketchbook is my latest sketchbook. I started this in January 2020 and I finished it yesterday, which is sort of late to mid-May 2020. I'm really proud of this sketchbook. It has been a journey, definitely. After I finished university about 5 years ago, I went through a dry spell with my art. I wasn't making any. I moved back to my parents and there was no space, no time, no money. And I was a little bit disheartened about the whole thing. August last year, I moved from Manchester to Cornwall, and all of a sudden I have got the space and the time and a little bit of spare money that I can put into getting back into my art. So this sketchbook is all about that journey from being really rusty and not having made any art in 5 years and getting back into the swing of things. And also it is a journey of learning a new medium, as this is all watercolour. And prior to this sketchbook I had never used watercolour. I was an oil and acrylic painter. So please be kind. There are things that I'm very proud of in here. There are also some very embarrassing moments, but I hope you like it anyway. Now this is the Moleskine, however you say it, watercolour A4 sketchbook. The first couple of pages are not watercolour paper, so I just stuck in some old work. Underneath here it's got my address, so I just stuck some masking tape over it. These two pieces, these two pointillism stippled dot work pictures, I did back 5 years ago or whenever it was, on pink pig paper, and I just wanted somewhere safe to put them, so I put this one in here. This is one of my favourite pieces from a very long time ago. And then underneath this I have some sea studies that I did by following a Kellogg Loops tutorial here on YouTube, and I'll link that down below for you if you'd like to have a go. This one in particular I have used several times since, so I definitely learned some skills there. This one I gave up sort of halfway through, but I was happy with what I started to create, so I've stuck that in anyway. And underneath here we have my first attempt at a watercolour portrait. This was definitely about learning how to mix skin tones with a very limited palette. I had the koh-i-noor 12 watercolours. They're a little bit more like ink. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. So that's all I had when I started this sketchbook, and that's what that is. Oh gosh, can't open it. There we go. Next page. Here are some watercolour portraits that I definitely put a little bit more time into, again with the koh-i-noor watercolours. This hair, I don't know if it'll pick up, but it's shiny, shimmery. That is the Koh-i-noor metallic watercolours. They're about £10 from Amazon. They are really good, although I do not know about their light fastness. And I'm in the process of doing a light fastness test on those, so I will share those results after a few months. And underneath I've got another portrait there, and then some simple hand studies. Definitely throwing myself in the deep end with these, but I was really happy with how they turned out. This here is a Shader Campbell tutorial on how to paint watercolour leaves. I'll link any tutorials in this video down below if you'd like to have a go yourself. And this one here I was really pleased with. The reference photo that I used for this painting was from an app called Sketchy, with no E, so it's SKTCHY, and it is a fantastic app where people upload reference images for you to use, and all you have to do is, once you've finished painting them or drawing them, you upload the image for them to see. It's a great way to sort of get royalty-free artist references. So I was really pleased with this. Got gold background. Both of these pages are Shader Campbell pages, and I'll link both of these as well. Definitely some hits and misses. These are atrocious, but I love these leaves, and the berries I've definitely used in several pieces of artwork since, and these leaves came into a final piece that I did. I definitely take lots of little things from my sketchbook and put them into final pieces or finished artworks that hopefully one day I can make some prints of. Love these flowers as well. I've definitely used these a few times. Now this piece, this is where I started to feel like I was getting into the swing of things. Again, this is from that Sketchy app, this reference image. I was really, really proud of this. Now, one of the downsides of this sketchbook is if you do any heavy washes like I've done in the background here, it will leak through the binding, and I'm sure you can see there, sort of in this mustache area, it has smudged and been destroyed a little bit by a piece that I did later in the book. And you know, it's not the end of the world, but it's something to keep in mind if you do want to buy this sketchbook. And after that happened, I recreated this on paper outside of the book because I was really proud of this one. Here we have another tutorial. This one is by Calliope Liviaki, and this taught me so much. I have used this as a background in a couple of pieces since doing this, but it just taught me so much about transparency and layering and different techniques, wet on wet. So invaluable, this tutorial, just for me to get my head around how to use watercolours and get the most out of them. So I definitely recommend this video. This page, my dad found a paper bag from a company called Cream Cornwall, and I have a tattoo a little bit like this on my foot, a dot work octopus. So he gave it to me thinking of me, so I had to go painting my own little octopus there. Oh, these are the embarrassing pages. So I despised this spread. This piece here, I was trying to use those flowers and those leaves and do a little bit of a portrait, but I did use the koh-i-noor paints in the background. I painted the leaves first and then the background, and then when I came to paint the face as the final part of this composition, the black just bled. You can't get close to it without it bleeding. You can't layer those colours very well, so I worked into it with pencil crayon, and then again here you can see it's bled in the spine and it's just gone everywhere. So not very good. And these were some experiments on some black watercolour paper that I got from Jackson's Art as a sample. I like these individually, but I don't think they look too great altogether. This again was a bit of a throwaway page. This was when I had ordered my Paul Rubens 48 colour palette, and I just wanted to play with all the colours, so I did this Galaxy Whale. I don't think it turned out too great, but it was fun to do, so oh well. Now this again is another piece I'm not very proud of. I had kept this cover from a magazine from February 2019, and I decided to have a go at painting it. This again is the koh-i-noor colours, and it didn't turn out too great. I wasn't a fan. So on the next page I tried to paint it again using the Paul Rubens paints, and I definitely feel like this turned out so much better than the last one. However, there are some parts, like the hat is quite patchy, and I think without a doubt the flowers from this composition are better than these ones, but you know, you learn from everything that you do. And this piece here is another one that I'm not very pleased with. This is what happens when I try and paint without the reference. I drew this from a reference from that Sketchy app, so I did have the reference there when I was sketching it, but then I tried to paint it without the reference, and I just think it's no way near as good as it could have been. So I'm not very happy with that. Here we are starting to get a little bit more into the swing of things. This is Godrevy Lighthouse. This is during lockdown I started to paint these. So this is Godrevy Lighthouse in Cornwall, and I just had a go at painting this from an image from Google, and I was really pleased with how it turned out, especially the sea, and I got lots and lots of details in there. I was really pleased with that. And then this one here is a beach in Hale that I drove up to just before lockdown was really enforced, and took this photograph at sunset. I'm really pleased with this little section here where the sun is hitting the land, and the texture that I got in the grass. The sea, I think the fact that it was sort of a dusk sunset situation threw me off with the sea. I'm not very pleased with that, but not bad. As I keep saying, you learn from every mistake. Again, with the sort of pointillism stippling technique, these were some designs that I was going to do for some Christmas cards a couple of years ago. Never did because they were just so time consuming, but I wanted to stick them in so they had a safe place to be. This here is a tattoo design that I was thinking of for my partner. He told me everything that he wanted in it, and I tried to do some sketches. So I've got some thumbnails and a list of everything that he wanted. This is not what he's going to get tattooed. Tattoo style is not my style. I cannot do it very well. But we did this so that he could take this to the tattoo artist that he likes, and he could sort of say, this is what I want, you know, this is what it needs to include, can you do it in your style please? So it just helped him get the vision out of his head. These here are powder paints by Culture Hustle by Stuart Semple, and he did this amazing offer where he did a limited number of powder paints for people with children to keep them busy during lockdown, and I was fortunate enough to get some of them. I don't have any children myself, but I am a primary school teacher, so this is me experimenting with them. I tried to mix them with water, and I also tried to mix them with like a Mod Podge, like a rip-off Mod Podge. You are supposed to use it with acrylic medium, but I was just experimenting. I was experimenting with mixing colours before I took these in for the key worker children to play around with. And then after that, I had some left over in my palette that I'd been mixing, so I decided to create these. The backgrounds are not those paints, these are some inks that I had to hand, but all these details, the shapes and the eyes, are those colours. I have to say, they're great for children, but I think in future I will buy the pre-mixed acrylic versions of the colours because they are so vivid, but I did find them a little bit difficult to work with in powder form. Here we have some paper samples again from Jackson's. We have the 300, the 410, 630 GSM watercolour paper, 100% cotton, so I did some eye studies on those. And then I did some shell studies that I, sort of like an example for my class, because I have bought some shells and I was hoping that they could do some observational studies of those. I was really pleased with these two at the bottom. However, this one got a little bit destroyed by the brown from the eye transferring onto it, but you know, oh well. This is just a quick sketch. I bought an IKEA sketchbook because the covers were fantastic, but the paper was shocking, so when it cannot take any moisture. And the background is the Stuart Semple Culture Hustle Black 3.0. The black is black. It is the blackest black. It's the mattest black. It is fantastic. However, I do not recommend it for sketchbooks as it does transfer a little bit onto other pages. Now these next 3 pages were just some ideas that I was generating. During lockdown, I decided to paint the library in my school to have big under the sea theme mural. If you would like to see that, I will link my Instagram below. Please check it out. I'm so proud of how it turned out, and I have all the photographs uploaded there, as well as photographs of my artwork that is not in Sketchbook, sort of like the best or final pieces that I've done. So we didn't use much of this page. We used this bit of seaweed and this octopus because in the end we decided to only do sea life that you can find in Cornwall. So pretty much used everything off these 2 pages except for the seahorse, and I did a much better job of my dolphin because that one didn't turn out too great. But I was really pleased with how that library turned out. Then after painting the library, I had got a little bit rusty again with my watercolours because I hadn't done it for a couple of weeks, so this is me warming back up into that. I did this whole 2-page spread in one day. I was working from home one day and I was ringing all the children from my class, my pupils. So while I was talking to them on the phone, 30 phone calls, I decided to paint just to keep my hands busy while I was talking away. So you can sort of see the progression, I think, from this one, which is a bit flat and a bit boring, to this one, and then to this one. So it just goes to show the more you do it, the more you can improve, or at least I think that's what it shows. All of these pictures came from that sketchy app, and this one is saint.meow from Instagram. She has some amazing makeup photography and really creative poses and things like that. So great reference to use. Then obviously this is Billie Eilish. I could not resist painting her with this whole sort of citronella, sickly green. I just love that colour. I had a paint in my palette that I barely use because it is so bright, and I just dying to do it. This is just a piece of acetate that I printed a skull on in college, and I think it looks really cool if you do this with it. So I keep that in there, and also it protects the painting. I don't know if you can see, but there are some black smudges here from this page because this is the koh-i-noor paint and this is the Paul Rubens. So it just protects Billie's face from smudges. This is a Let's Make Art tutorial that I had a go at using salt for the first time. And I was really pleased with how that turned out. Now, the next spread is my absolute favourite spread in the entire book. I'm so proud of this. This is my Strange the Dreamer themed spread, which is a book by Laini Taylor. It's one of my absolutely favourite books of all time. So on this page we have the moth, which is the first edition cover sort of like logo. So I had a go at doing that, and I love it. It's very shimmery and shiny. And then on this page, this is my interpretation of the two main characters. This is Laszlo Strange and Sarai, the Muse of Nightmares, and her moths. And I'm just so proud of it. I absolutely love it. I think I'll repaint this one actually out of the sketchbook, just so that I can have it, maybe frame it. And the reference picture I used for this is Manic Moth from Instagram. So definitely check her out. Her photography is so inspiring. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking. These are the White Knight St. Petersburg pastel colours. I treated myself to because I don't like to mix pastel colours. I like mixing. I'm very good at mixing colours in general, but pastel colours I think are a little bit tricky if you want to keep that quality of the paint or the light fastness. It's a little bit difficult when you're mixing so many pigments, especially with white. So that's what those are. And this again is Manic Moth, a little portrait that I did of her. This was another phone call session. So I had a day of ringing all my children from my class. And this is what I did. This was inspired by the Kellogg's Loops thing that I did on that very, very first page. And I've used this in the background of a bigger piece. I really, really love this. And this is my one and only mermaid. Again, the reference picture was from Sketchy. And I'm really proud of her top. I don't know. It's little things, but I really like that one. I treated myself to the White Knight St. Petersburg metallic watercolours. I will say though, I have the Komorebi watercolours and they were about £10 from Amazon, and I have them side by side here. I actually prefer the Komorebi in how they handle their opacity, how they dilute, but there is no pigment information. There is no information about light fastness. I am in the middle of doing a light fastness test, which I will share with you after a few months and let you know if it works. But I do prefer those. So if you don't care about light fastness, I totally recommend them over the White Knights. Especially this gold is a bit washy and not as good. But these are sort of my best. These are the ones that I can rely on if I'm going to use them in a final piece. Then I have like a a plague doctor. These are some old pieces that I did and just stuck in to fill up pages because I was getting towards the end of my book now. I did these in college, so we're looking at 8 years ago, something like that. This is Rome. This is a pub that's near where I used to live in Manchester, called the Bird in Hand, and I just really like the architecture of it. And then I think I have one more on the next page, which is St. Ives Pier Lighthouse, and I just think it's so funny that I did this and I was dreaming of living here, and now I do. This is just 20 minutes down the road from me, and I love that. This is one of those exercises where you draw blobs and you try and turn them into something else. I got my partner to do these for me, and he did not make it easy, but just thought I'd have a go. I kind of regret it. I think it sort of ruins the book a little bit, but oh well. I'm showing my age, I guess, a little bit here. This is Station from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. A fantastic film. It's the second film after Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And my partner and I have a little bit of an inside joke about these characters, and it was one of those days where I just wanted to paint, and this is what I had in my mind, so this is what I did. And I actually really love them. I think they're so funny. These are a repaint. Before Christmas I did these glitter canvases with these images on, and I decided to repaint them to see if I'd improved any, and I definitely think I have. You can see the originals on my Instagram. I love the texture that I managed to get in the backgrounds. They're very shimmery and shiny. I don't know if this is the best light. I do love a bit of glitter. They're very Art Nouveau inspired, and they remind me of tarot cards. I guess that's all I have to say about those ones. These ones were inspired by Emily Mackey Art. She is amazing, and I just wanted to see whether I could recreate some of her stuff in watercolour, because she definitely uses more acrylics and oil paints. And I copied these almost from her sketchbook tour that she did. This one didn't turn out too great. This one I copied from her sketchbook tour, but then it turns out that she actually has a tutorial on how to do it. So I will link that tutorial for you as well. But yeah, just playing with different colours, different compositions. I think it's really important to look at people that you admire to learn from their skills, because I definitely took some things away from this that I can put into my own art. And then this is my final spread now. This is just a little picture of some planets. It's not meant to be our solar system, but I just wanted to play around with texture and colour. And I think this one looks like a little sprout. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. And then I have some flowers that were inspired by Nia. I don't know. Nia. I don't know how to say her name, but I just did those based on her tutorial. And that is everything. I have my wish list of art things there, and a little pouch here where I keep a little scrap of paper where I just write ideas for when I'm having a day where I can't really think of what to do. But that is my sketchbook. I've worked really hard on it. I absolutely love it. It's a good sketchbook, but I am going to try a different brand. And if I don't like it, I might come back to this, but I'm going to try the Caddy watercolour smooth sketchbook next, and I'll let you know how that goes. I hope you enjoyed this. Please give me any feedback. Let me know what your favourite piece is. Is there anything that any of the tutorials that you're going to go and have a go at? Let me know, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.